Hi, Rich. Hi, Becca.
Hello.
Hello.
Um, Rich, would you like to say something about our sponsor, F9, Build a Better Company?
Yeah,
That
so
is
build a
sponsoring
better
our.
company. If you are an architect or engineer or interior designer, firm owner or on the leadership team, and you're looking to improve the profits of your firm or business, buildabetterco.com, Build a Better Company is the process for you. It's run by architects and people in the construction industry and other colleagues of yours that can help you triple your profit on your business.
Thanks. And I'll put the contact information for F9 Build a Better Company in the show notes and in the blog.
Mhm.
I'm joined today with Becca Roberts, who is from Kansas City. Becca Roberts is the owner architect of Becca Lee Roberts Design. She has over 13 years of experience in architecture and interior design, working at firms in both Kansas City and Las Vegas before venturing out on her own. She enjoys working on projects of all types, but has found the greatest enjoyment in custom residential design. To Becca, there is nothing better than working with the end user of a space, and she loves helping people utilize their dream home design. Their dream home design. She lives in her hometown of Kansas City, Missouri, and with her husband and her 2-year-old dog, and 2 cats. Welcome, Becca.
Thank you.
And Richard Sanford. Rich has over 20 years of experience in the field of architecture with project experience in residential, commercial, hospitality, and institutional building types. Project process is a top priority in Rich's work. A constant mantra is work smart first. Originally from central Pennsylvania, Rich now resides in South Jersey with his wife and kids, and he's representing Philadelphia. Outside of work, Rich enjoys music. Beatboxing is his favorite, mixed martial arts, and tending to his animals on his farm. Welcome, Rich.
Thanks for having me.
Sure. And I'm doing this special podcast for the Super Bowl. And so I brought on 2 guests from the teams, Becca from Kansas City and Rich, who is representing Philly. And they're going to have to tell you a little bit more about that. But what are your first recollections of experiencing architecture, Becca?
So I was thinking about this yesterday when I got your questionnaire, and it came to me really quickly that in 3rd grade, in my art class, we had a project that the teacher gave us some grid paper and said, they kind of gave us an idea of what a floor plan looks like and said, draw your dream home. And I loved it. I had always loved art. Something about that project really stood out to me. And I remember I still have the little drawing at home. It's at my parents' house. And that always kind of stuck in the back of my head because I think it was the first time that I'd ever realized that I could combine art with kind of a function. And I never really thought about it that way before.
Yeah.
And then in high school, I never quite forgot that little project. And in high school, I started taking drafting classes and really quickly realized that I could really take all of my favorite things and combine it into one thing. I always loved art and math and people. And as I was, taking this drafting class, I realized, oh my gosh, there is a thing that exists that takes all of these things that I love to do, and there's a job that exists to do that. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And I never
So
looked back.
Becca, you're fairly young. So when you were taking the drafting class, was it hand drafting or was it CAD drafting?
So that was actually one of the things that I love so much about it is we did both. We started out, and this was in college as well. So I did, I had undergrad in architecture and then also got my master's. But in my initial drafting classes in both high school and college, we did hand drafting first. It was a whole portion of the semester where we did hand drafting because they really thought it was really important, and I agree that learning to do it by hand first, it really informs the way you then do it on the computer. And I think one of the reasons that I ended up loving it so much when I was doing drafting is, as much as I love art, I've always had some complications with my hand-eye coordination. So actually producing it by hand would feel kind of frustrating for me. But having a tool like the computer where I can take everything that I learned doing it by hand and do it quickly and efficiently, um, took away the frustration aspect of it. And then I was just able to kind of take the designs in my head and put it on the computer. And that's why I still love doing it now.
Huh. Yeah. Yeah. What program do you use?
I kind of primarily, I would say I use AutoCAD. I know Revit, and I like Revit, but for residential, definitely in most projects, I really love CAD. I love how if you don't know how to do something, you can still draw. Revit. I get bogged down in the, oh my God, I have to like learn, and I love learning new things. I love learning new technology, but
Mhm.
hitting a barrier in Revit, I think, is harder to overcome. So I do a lot of CAD, and then I use SketchUp all the time.
Um, so Rich, what are your first recollections of experiencing architecture?
Uh, well, for me, I mean, I grew up in the 80s. So I always remember, like, I loved like Transformers for toys, G.I. Joe, all of that. And I remember I would draw up forts all the time for my like different toys and action figures. But then moving on to like when I was in junior high, my dad took me to see Falling Water out in Western Pennsylvania. And then that was like that, like, I didn't know I wanted to be an architect when I woke up that morning, but I was like, this is so cool. I thought actually I was going to be more like on the engineering side, because I was really, I was doing, like Becca was mentioning, like, the drafting classes in high school, the engineering classes, all that. I was really into all of that. Um, but then I got into, got accepted into college, and remembered, well, I applied to Penn State, but didn't
Mhm.
get into Penn. I got like a associate's degree. It was like at a branch campus, and I was like, eh. And then I got accepted to what's now Jefferson University. It wasn't called that back then. But it was a newer architecture program. And so, and that was a 5 year, and the whole thing. But I remember looking at this, the first couple classes I had to take, like figure drawing class and all this. I was like, I don't do art. Like, that's not my thing. But it was like I discovered a side of me that I didn't know I had. And I wasn't the best drawer or all that, but obviously I got through it all and did pretty well with that. So yeah, so that's you know kind
Where
of
did you grow up in Pennsylvania? I actually grew up in Pittsburgh.
okay.
Yeah, but I moved like when I
Yeah,
was
I grew at
17. My
Harrisburg.
family had moved to the West Coast. My mom and my stepdad had moved to the West Coast with work, and so I just finished up my senior year of high school, and then I moved out there
Okay.
to join
Yeah.
them, and or out
But
here to join them. Yeah, so I've been here since I was 17. But I mean, I would have. I mean, when I was like in high school, and I was looking at, they obviously said, oh yeah, there's Penn State, right? Carnegie Mellon. Those were
yep.
like those were like the two schools that that were there were kind of the architecture schools that were there.
Yeah, and it was like, well, I mean, so I grew up in Harrisburg, and
Mhm.
then I did a semester like through at Temple University's Rome
Yeah,
program,
yeah,
so I was in
yeah.
Italy for a
I guess
semester.
that was another school, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and University of Pennsylvania in Drexel as well, but like Penn's is like a master's program; they don't have undergrad.
Mhm.
But I mean, we all know this. It's like you go into any state. There's only a handful of schools that
Mhm.
that have architecture programs. So
Well, even in California, it's a big state, but there's really only uh, one school that is a public school that offers the 5-year program, and those are the Cal Polys. And so, I mean, you have Cal Poly Pomona, that I call, is the school that's in a major metropolis. And then there's the other one that's Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, because, we have the thing. And it's so weird. They even do like with the float for the Rose Bowl, right? Like one school does one half of the float, and the other school does the other half of the float, and then they put them together for the Rose Bowl parade, which I think that's the way they used to. I think they still do it that way, which I'm like, okay, well, whatever. I go, hopefully you've got that. Hopefully you've got the right connections and SAC. But yeah, but yeah, those are the only state schools. And then, like even UCLA is a master's program, and then they're all, then they're like the little private schools. And then even Berkeley's program is not accredited, their undergraduate program. So you have to do a 4+2 there, but you're not even getting credit for those 4 years of your undergrad there.
But my school, we weren't accredited. We didn't get accredited till my 5th year. So I spent most of my time hoping that the school was going to get accredited.
So,
yeah.
I had to do a 4+2 because we didn't have a K-State is really our only school around here that's got a 5-year architecture program for a university. And my whole family went to University of Missouri. So I was like, I want to go to University of Missouri. I love drafting, but I was like, I didn't know for sure, I was like, I'll find something. So I went to University of Missouri, and they had an architecture program, but it wasn't accredited. And so I did that, and then I was like, oh dang, okay, I really do want to be an architect. So now I have to keep going to school. But it was a blessing because I went to UNLV in Las Vegas, and moved across the country for the first time ever, and got to have some great experiences, and got a job there, and still travel there 2 or 3 times a year to this day, just because it's like my second home. So it all works out.
So you grew up in Kansas City, and then the University of Missouri is where?
Is in Columbia, Missouri. So it's almost right in between Kansas City and St. Louis. So it's right in the middle.
Yes. Yeah. My parents actually they live outside of Joplin, Missouri, like close. Okay. They're only like 5 minutes from the border, right? So we either fly into Kansas City or we fly into Tulsa. Most of the time we fly into Tulsa, even though I'd rather fly into Kansas City because there's more to do there than Tulsa.
And there's a new airport.
Yeah. But I do
now.
Yeah, but I like to go to Price Tower. I mean, that's like, but sometimes I'll make the trip up to Price Tower and then over, which is always fun. I mean, because why not, right?
Yeah.
And so what are 3 classic buildings in your city that you like and why?
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, classic is that's a hard term, but I'm gonna go with 3 buildings or let's say 2 that I think are pretty iconic for Kansas City, especially if you have a love of architecture like we do. And then one that's kind of random, but I happen to love it.
Okay.
So the first one is the Kaufman Center by Moshe Safdie. It is a beautiful performing arts center right in the middle of downtown. The outside kind of looks like a shell. It's really unique. Doesn't really match anything in the city. Just happens to be this great iconic structure that now, in all of our Kansas City related stuff, it's always one of the pictures that's right on there, because it is really unique to the city. And I love it because I took a tour of it. It was an architecture centered tour, really talking about the amount of study they put into the acoustics, and everything about the design was just so thought out. And I will never forget, there's a story about when they were doing one of the 2 performing arts centers inside this one building. They have balconies with this kind of crumbled up metallic looking paper that's backlit in all of them. And apparently when Moshe Safdie came to visit while they were doing the construction, he said, all of them look different. He said, take them all out, and one person needs to do all of them. I thought, there you go. That's a famous architect being like, he knew what he wanted, and it looks awesome. So I always thought that was funny. And
His
then I'm
daughter
gonna.
actually has a practice here in town.
Oh,
His
really?
daughter, yes, it's tall,
Yeah.
tall softy, and she always says that she never gets any work because of him. And then we always like make a joke and say, "Well, I know that they're getting more work than Eugene Hoddle's daughter is from him," which is my dad, my late dad.
Oh, that's sweet. Um, okay, so number two, I'm gonna say, so the Nelson Atkins Museum of Art is a really beautiful building,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
yeah, I love it. And then there is the contemporary wing that was built in the early 2000s, designed by Stephen Hall. And I just really love going to the museum and doing the whole thing because the contemporary wing is just gorgeous modern art, architecture, housing all of the modern art. And the way they connect it to the existing building that was built in the early 1900s, they're completely different
Mhm.
buildings that are beautiful together. And that's
Yeah.
one thing that I really love about architecture. I love blending new and old. Um, it's one of my favorite places to be. It's just a beautiful building top to bottom. Um,
Yeah, I
and
love
then
that. I love that building too. I
yeah,
go there every single time. I love going there. We have a
yeah,
thing where our kid we were there one time and one of our kids like got out in the sculpture garden that goes downhill.
yeah.
He got like too close to it, and then the microphone comes out like, "Please get off of the sculpture." It's like, what?
Yes. Yeah, they're pretty hardcore there, but yeah, the shuttlecocks, like the birdies for
Yes,
now and
exactly. Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah. No,
exactly.
that was exactly the one that
Yeah.
he was on. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and that's another such an iconic Kansas City thing that people see it on stuff and they're like, "Why do you have a badminton birdie on your shirt?" I'm like, it's hard to explain. Like it's just a thing. I don't know why they picked that, but it's associated with us now.
Yeah.
Um And then, okay, so my third building is very random. It's actually called the Catholic Center now. It was once the New York Life building, and it is in the library district of downtown Kansas City. And I didn't know anything about this building. And one time my husband and I were walking around down there a few years ago, and we were walking down the street, and I was like, what is that building? It's so, I don't know why. Like, I have to go towards it. And it's an H-shaped building that was built in the late 1800s. Apparently, it was built when there were still carriages like on the streets of Kansas City.
Yeah, there
Um,
would be then. Yeah.
yeah. And it's a very cool building that's got this kind of void in the center of it that looks kind of dark and almost spooky and this big sculpture of an eagle and something about it every time I see it I'm like I love this building. It's just Kansas City. It just makes
Did you,
me think
wait,
of
did you just say you love the building because there's an eagle in it?
I know. I was
oh
just
my
thinking.
gosh,
Go
can you edit
birds.
that out?
I don't edit other. I was like, oh, wait a second. It's like
There
not
is.
the, yeah.
I did not even think about, yeah, I don't know why they picked an eagle. There's a big eagle sculpture on this building, and I like it still.
Was it done for New York Life, or was it something else before it was done?
I
Because maybe
believe
that
it
was
was,
their logo.
yes, I think
Yeah,
that's what it is.
yeah.
They've craned up this big eagle and just stuck it in the middle of the building. But um, yeah, I'll send a picture. It
Okay.
doesn't quite translate probably to photography just because something about just like being in the street and walking towards like this building with a huge shadow in the center is just it's very cool. But yeah, that's my three.
Okay. Thanks. Rich, what are your three?
So I'm not going to go the traditional route of of, Independence Hall, the Art Museum, but I got two that are next to them. So,
Okay.
so the first one is actually the Fairmount Waterworks. It was built like in the early 1800s. It was the first waterworks that used paddle wheels in the country, I believe. And it's a series of buildings. And if it's like, since we're talking football, if you watch the Monday Night Football game on, that the Eagles are playing at home, you're going to get a shot of the art museum. You're going to get a shot of Boathouse Row. Well, in between Boathouse Row and the art museum is the waterworks. So it's a series of small buildings, and it's actually used as like a wedding venue now. But it's one of those places where, like, for me with architecture, it's like when you're there, it's just so cool to be here. Like, like I guess the only thing, again, I'll use like if we were all given Super Bowl tickets, right, to
Oh,
the game, and you'd be like, oh, it's so cool that I'm here. Like that feeling is just what this building has for me. It's right on the water on the Schuylkill River. Um, it used to be a restaurant at one point. It was actually for my wife and our first year anniversary. We went to the restaurant for dinner,
okay.
and they have a lot of the artifacts and a lot of the original kind of mechanics of the building, the paddle wheel, all that. It's still there. And
Okay.
I guess one thing that was really cool about it is if my favorite architect is Carlo Scarpa, the Italian
Okay.
architect.
Mm.
And one thing I've always liked about his detailing was like he has a modern. He really could mold the modern to the classic, let's say, or and
Mhm.
it was just there was like windows framed of some of the equipment or whatever, and it just however it was done in the building was just like, oh, you could see how the old is, but then they would have like a more modern aesthetic, for the
Yeah.
restaurant or the
Yeah.
venue. So
Yeah.
that's my first one. Um, my second one is the Curtis Center, which is directly across the street from Independence Hall. Um, and it's there two parts to it. There's a lobby that has, and what is it called? I have it up here. Hold on, somewhere. There's a glass mosaic, like a Tiffany glass mosaic called, I believe it's called the Dream Garden, and it's not up here right now, but I thought I had it up here. Yeah, Dream Garden, which is on one side. It's actually on the side, the entrance. It's directly across the street from Independence Hall. You go in there. It's just beautiful. It's just of a natural, like a nature, like trees and whatnot, but it's a glass mosaic. Cool little story about that was Steve Wynn, from Wynn Casinos. I forget how many years, a few years back, or whatever. He was buying that mosaic and he wanted to move it to his casino in Vegas.
Mm,
But then there was a group that came together and actually kind of prevented him from doing that and kept it. So a preservation group came in and actually kind of outbid him for it. So it's
that's
still
awesome.
still in the building. But my favorite part of it is there's a 7-story atrium, and there's a fountain. And the top of the fountain has the water that comes up, but there's these levels that come down where it's uh, just a thin layer of water goes down each of these levels, and the fountain itself is an extension of the tile work. So there's almost like an infinity edge around the edge of the fountain. And you could sit at the edge of the fountain, and the water is just like the edge of the water is like right next to you, it's about 2 feet deep. And it's just this gentle, like almost like an infinity pool type edge. But it's like an elevated version of the tile. So I've always loved
Mhm.
that space. I love going there. And coincidentally, the company that did, the company that does the testing for your licensure, it was in that building. So I spent a couple, like a few minutes prior to taking all of my tests, 20 years ago or whenever it
Oh,
was, sitting at that fountain and then, taking my tests. So that's the second one. And then the last one is well, everybody knows Comcast, the big, cable company. So they're located in Philadelphia. They have the two tallest towers in Philadelphia are Comcast buildings.
okay.
And the first building, the the lobby when you walk in, it's a really good, cool lobby that shows like Comcast's capabilities. Um, is you come in and it looks like a big wood paneled, wood panels everywhere, but most of the walls are digital screens.
Oh,
So if you come in and it's just the digital screen might just show like it looks like the wood panels. All of a sudden, I remember the first time I walked in, it was just that, and then all of a sudden, people started walking. Like there was a scene, and they start. I'm like, whoa, what is going on? Like, so it's a really like really crisp, clear thing, and they have a food court. Like you go in, there's some stairs that go down, so it's right there. So it's really neat. But a little story, since we're talking about sports here, um, in Philadelphia there was a gentleman's agreement for a long time that you would never build taller than the William Penn statue that's at the top of City Hall. So in the 80s, they started, building skyscrapers that were taller than William Penn. Well, the last time prior to 2008 when the Phillies won the World Series was in 1983, the Sixers won. So, and oh, sorry, I don't know if you start hearing some music in the background, I apologize. My office is in the same building as my wife's ballet school, and they're having classes
Oh,
outside my door
that's
here.
cool.
So
too bad it's so far away. I'd be taking classes from her. I'm
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
find a ballet class to
Yeah, so
take around here.
yeah,
but
the
I
music
can't
hasn't been
find
on,
one.
but they just turned it on. But
Okay, I don't hear it. I don't hear
okay.
it.
But yeah, so there was all this like, curse of Billy Penn that none of the Philadelphia sports teams can win. So the first Comcast tower was, I think, completed around 2007, 2008, I believe. And when they do the topping off for your steel, they put like the pine tree and all that, that stuff.
Mhm.
Well, they welded a miniature statue of William Penn to that. So then it goes up there, and then 2008, the Phillies win the World Series, right? And then so now the second Comcast tower gets built, and they did the same thing.
Little,
So
yeah,
the new Comcast tower is taller. So now there's a William Penn on top of the second one.
that's funny.
Yeah. And I think that was built around the time when the Eagles won, about 7 years ago or whatever it was. So
Nice.
yeah, so those are
One of my
my
friends works for he's actually from Pittsburgh, but we met in LA, but he works for the firm that does all of the sports arenas and stuff. He did I forget what firm is it? He's gonna kill me if I did a podcast actually
like
with him.
Populous and HOK are both really big ones, but I don't know if it's
No, it's not
Was
that
it-
one. They're in Philadelphia. It's
Ewing Cole, maybe.
yes, thank you. That's
they-
exactly yeah.
Yeah, they
it's
did
Ewing
I
Cole.
know they did the Phillies part. I don't think they did the Eagles one.
Okay.
But yeah, no, Ewing Cole did the Phillies ballpark.
Yeah, and then they did the Jets, New York Jets, New York Rangers, right? Or New York Jets, New
Jets
York
and Giants. Yeah,
the New York
MetLife.
Jets, New York
Yeah.
Giants. Yeah,
Yeah.
that one. Yeah, yeah. Okay, and so what do you like about being an architect, Becca?
Um, I like that it's different every day. And that's probably not the case for everybody. And I remember starting out there was some monotony when you're kind of the person who does this task. But now that I'm out on my own, I love just the variety. I love that I'm always stretching my mind in different ways that I'm I'm always learning new things. I'm every day, even if I'm doing something kind of similar to what I was doing the day before, it always feels like I'm kind of keeping things fresh, and I love that about it. And that I don't feel bored doing my job, and I think that is a blessing, and I think a lot of people don't get to have that feeling. And I mean, I think I'm probably, at least in my personal life, I think I might be the only person that is doing the job that I decided that I wanted to do in high school or, in college. And I still feel that way. And there's moments of burnout just like everyone experiences, but, um, I feel really happy that almost every day I feel like I'm doing the job that I want to do.
Mhm.
And that's probably what I like the most about it, is that it genuinely makes me happy. And that is, I think, a unique feeling for something that is a career.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Do you work out of the house?
I do. I do.
Uh-huh.
I've been working remotely actually for a while because I'd worked remotely for the last firm that I worked for. But yes, now that I am running my own business, I work from home and eventually will not, but for now it works and means I get to see my little girl a lot too, which is nice.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so Rich, what do you like about being an architect?
Well, it's funny because I remember when I was in college and I did like a summer internship, and that's exactly what the principal of the firm I worked for, he took me out to lunch and he goes, I'm just gonna let you know that the great thing about being an architect is it's always something new. So like, that definitely has
Mhm.
stuck with me as well, throughout. I've I've been on my own for quite some time now, like 2008, I get laid off. That was the last time I had a job, and I just started my own because there was no other way,
Hmm.
So it's I think there's like, some of that experience and then things got better and all that. Sometimes I'm just like I wouldn't say jaded, but I'm like, oh, but it's still
No, they're
like,
definitely.
yeah, so yeah, I have to get myself in that mindset of like, well, why do I like this? I have to like remind myself. And I think it's, again, it is it's always something new, but also like, at least with what I do. So I mean, I'm a solo practitioner, and I do
Mhm.
residential, small commercial, but I do BIM consulting as well. We were mentioning
Mhm.
Revit before, and I probably know too much about Revit. I mean, I was telling with one of my BIM
So you
consulting,
use
like,
Revit then? You use
yes, yeah,
Revit.
yeah,
Okay.
way too much.
I should hire
Like,
you.
yeah,
I might need you.
I was in, it wasn't my client, but somebody on the team. We were having a call the other night, and because I do work overseas with a security and surveillance consultant who does work for casinos. So
Okay.
we do work with the Hard Rocks of the world, and Steve Wynn, like I mentioned, we actually are
Mhm.
doing a project with them right now, as well. But I just was like, there's intricacies of the Revit program that I'm like, I really wish I didn't know this, but I have to know it, for my job. But it also just gets like the one of the projects I'm working at overseas right now. It's a huge project. It has a marina, and I'm in a call, and we're talking about it's security and surveillance call, but we're talking about like things related to surveillances of boats in a marina, and like where do you put cameras in a marina? It's like it's not like in the building where we can just put it in a ceiling. It's like, oh, well, we got to find a pole. Well, is the pole the right spot? And can it capture what we need to capture on the boats? And then we were talking about, like, I didn't even realize you see the numbers on a boat. It's like essentially like a license plate. And then the discussion became, well, do they put the license essentially on the boat like they do in the States? Over in Dubai, where is it? Like, do we need to see it from the front
Mhm.
or the back? So it's just these conversations you have every once in a while. You're like, I never knew I'd like be talking about that for work, or even, I mean, to go back to Philadelphia, the 30th Street Station, biggest, is the main like train hub of the town, right? This is back when I worked for a firm. We were doing a renovation, and we're going through. It's like the one train mezzanine, and the guy takes us from whatever we were doing. We had to get like under, like kind of the back areas for like utilities or whatever. He takes
Yeah.
us through one of the restrooms that I've been in many of times, and I didn't never knew there was a door in the back that we go through, and there's this huge space that's everything is burnt, like charred and everything. Come to find out, in like, I don't know, the 50s, there used to be a bowling alley in the train station that had a fire, and they just like for 50 plus years never did a thing with it except just lock
Wow.
the door, and they just kind of walk through the space. And you're like, I would have never known this was here, you
Yeah.
know.
It is.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. We don't know about the fire codes for that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Pretend like it's
No.
not there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, and I actually ran into somebody who did work recently, electrician. We actually hired an electrician here. He's like a union electrician. He was trying to go on his own, so we hired him to do some lights here at our commercial building. And he was like, "Oh yeah, I work at 30th Street." I'm like, "Hey, is the bowling alley that had a fire still there, or is it something else?" And he thinks it might. He's like, "I've never been back there," but he's like, "I think they've converted some of it into like a parking, like employee parking area or something like that." So, you know.
Oh man. Um, so what would you like to say about the future of architecture in Kansas City?
Um, I think I'm pretty excited about the future of architecture. I mean, there's a lot of questions about a lot of things right now in the world, in the country.
Mhm.
And when I read this question, one of the first things I'm sure a lot of people think of and mention is AI and kind of things like that that are definitely going to affect our job. Um, but whereas I think there's a lot of fear about that, understandably, I think I think stuff like that will just continue to will find ways to supplement and add to what we're already doing. But I don't feel like our job is replaceable.
Uh-huh.
I might be proven wrong someday, but I think this is an inherently human job. And even just thinking about what Rich was just talking about with, putting in security cameras at a boat marina and things like that, where yeah, you could input some of this information into a computer and have them turn out these things, but it's the conversation part of things and just the kind of working through things just by learning topics you never thought you would care about,
Uh-huh.
like
Mhm.
where to place cameras, um, or just the lots of things that I think about all the time in laying out a floor plan for someone's house, where I think, you know, this my ideas are coming from the fact that I also live in a house and I have designed houses for people and I think about these things and I take the information from somebody and help them come up with solutions they might not have thought of themselves and
Mhm.
I think I see beautiful AI renderings and I think we'll find a way to kind of keep doing what we're doing, take the new technology as it's presented to us, tie it into our lives, and just keep going. I mean, that's my plan. I plan to do this for as long as I can, and luckily, I don't feel overly scared. I feel more excited, and open to seeing where things go in this very unique industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just to add to that point, it's like one of the things I think of is like there's a human connection
Yeah.
factor that
Mhm.
if we want to compare it to AI, it's like it's just
Yeah.
not there,
Yeah.
you know. And I've also seen like when I'm given like the examples of these projects, some of these projects I'm working on are huge projects, hundreds of firms involved in it, and some of the problems that have come up in the process of trying to create it is like I'm like if we were all in the same room, you know, there it wouldn't be an issue.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's people working remotely and all that, and I get it. I mean, it would be impossible to it on the flip side of the coin is like it would be impossible to work and do some of the work we're doing on some of these projects
Right.
without being remote. I mean,
Mhm.
it's like I know my to just go back to that security a client of mine, he noticed that our team is like primarily a handful of us kind of in South Jersey. Like a year ago there was three of us. That was it. He's kind of expanded. He's got a couple more now. We actually have two people in Vegas that are helping us out as well. But he noticed like most of the team, like and we could, the MEP engineers is a big internationally known firm, and they're working on the project 24/7 because they
Mhm.
Right.
have an office in the States, they have an office in Europe, they have an office at, in Dubai, in Asia, so there's somebody always working on the project and getting things done. So, but that human connection, you know, is still kind of missing there. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
There was the other day I Googled myself. I Google myself every once in a while just see what pops up. But one of the things that they had was that and I think it was probably on I think it's probably Microsoft Bing because it's very the HP computers are very against you using any type of Google software. So if you try to download Google on the thing, I mean, I'm gonna have to take it into the Geek Squad to just have them like, please just load Google on here. Like, I don't want any Microsoft Bing. I don't want any of that on my computer at all. So I doubt it. Microsoft is going to be sponsoring me anytime soon, even though I have to buy the product in order to like see our Word docs, right? So it's like, yeah, we have to. Yeah. But this person came up and I was laughing because I do know that person. They are here in town. They're not an architect. They're an interior designer. Their first name is Michelle, but she's with two L's instead of one L. She has short blonde hair. She doesn't look like me at all, but yet there she was, like under my firm, under Michelle Grace Hottle Architect. It's like, here's Michelle Harrison. And I'm like, oh, people are like laughing, like, oh, is that? And I'm like, no, I actually know her. We are somehow connected, but it's like they're not me, obviously.
Right.
But it was close enough for all of that stuff for it to figure out that, like, yeah, somehow she's Michelle Hottle. She's in my
Yeah.
firm or something. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So there are like those little things. I hope that AI like takes over all of the mundane things that we have
Yeah.
to do, Yeah. Yeah.
I think there's so many ways it could help with, code stuff and just little things that it's all very important, and we don't want to lose the ability to think of those things ourselves, obviously, but
Mhm.
almost as just like a quality assurance type thing. I think that would be
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
helpful, and
Yeah.
especially for, small firms like me. I'm a firm of one right now. Having little things like that I can um, have as just kind of a backup.
Mhm.
But I'm never going to let it replace the stuff that I think it is my responsibility to be thinking of as well.
Yeah.
One of the things I've done with my architecture clients, this is something this year, I've just started doing it, is, you get a new client and they may have gone to like a Pinterest board, or they look some stuff up. They like this design style, whatever. I'm
Mhm.
like, you can go to Chat GPT and you can type in, create an image of
Hmm.
such and such type of house on the beach, in the woods, whatever, like start using it and they'll create images for you.
Hmm.
So it might not be exact, it's not exactly what you want, but it's a good, if somebody's having a hard time, because they're coming to you because they can't put that together.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I was like, well,
Yeah.
write the words down in Chat GPT and see what pops up. You might have
Just
to
a great
mess with it a
starting
little bit,
point.
fine tune it,
Yeah.
but you might get something much better than, because you know, how many times have you gone on Google? Like, let's say you're looking up a code issue,
Hmm.
right? It's like, it seems like the thing that you're dealing with is the only thing that doesn't show up. Everything
Yeah.
else does,
Yeah.
but that one particular thing. So
Hmm.
it definitely has its thing, and I think does also come down to, it's like AI is not going to replace us, but the people who can replace you are the people who know those tools
Right.
are going to
Yeah,
replace you.
yeah, you're
Yeah,
exactly right. And I
yeah,
think that's one reason why I try to stay open-minded about a lot of those things. And I think it is probably hard to do that. And I'm sure have my moments where I'm like, oh God, I really don't want to learn that. But um I think you're exactly right. I think we would be easily replaceable by the people who are more willing to stay updated
yeah,
um on all the the new technology.
yeah,
And also, I think that with AI, it depends on what the input is, right? Like, I think architects like putting things in are coming up with much more fascinating things than like I call them the average Joe. But as far as like the input, and I'm gonna have somebody on that that was a year ahead of me in architecture school, and he's got some AI stuff, but like I can guarantee that he is coming. I mean, he is a good designer, and he is coming up with these amazing designs that I think that a lot of people would not be able to come out, just things that are, just from just kind of these amazing. I'll see if he's hope maybe he can do something. Maybe he can do something for the Super Bowl. I bet you he probably has come up with something for the Super Bowl. He'll just like put these things in because he's always worked at bigger firms. So I think he's closer to retirement than I ever will be. But yeah, he just comes up with these things. And I mean, he's won a couple of awards for like these AI generated renderings, just like this kind of fanciful stuff that's that's a lot of like kind of like the super studio and things like from the 60s where you kind of it's except it's just like way, they're just like way out there. And he'll take like these different places in LA and then reimagine them in like these ways that, you're like, oh my gosh, I mean, it is pretty like he took one of the overpasses and just like punctured just a ton of like skylights in it. So it was just like this overpass, but it just had like all of, it was like Swiss cheese going all the way down it. And then, like just like things growing on the side and stuff like that, and so I'll like look at his stuff and I'm like, yeah, it's like fascinating because, I mean, yeah, are we ever going to do that? No, probably not going to do that. It's like kind of very fanciful. And then yeah. So he kind of did this, and I mean, some of it is just, they're just like these amazing, like he kind of did this whole thing as far as what the wildfire process would be. And he just had a ton of people like standing outside with like lines and lines, and they were all holding plans. And then of course he did like, yes, we know that, we digitally submit stuff and this would never, it's like, there's really not going to be, I mean, I can't say that there's not going to be people like that standing outside because I'm certainly, it used to be like that when people waiting to get into the building department in LA in front of the old building. It was like that with people standing there, but so
yeah, it's funny. I people are surprised from out of New Jersey, because we still have a raised seal. When we sign and seal our drawings, we have to do a raised seal, so we can't even do digital
really
submissions. Yeah, I mean,
so
like,
you have to do that stamp, the embosser then.
Yeah.
Or not? Yeah, you do have to do the emboss. Yeah.
Yeah, here, I'll it's right here. Show you. This is the
yeah.
kind of, yeah. So you gotta just crimp it each time.
Every single sheet.
I can get 3 sheets at a time with this, and nobody's ever given me a hard time with it. So usually I just sign every sheet and then 3 sheets at a time. I already have them stapled together. So, but
you're signing. But are you signing on top of that, or are you like signing first and then embossing?
I sign first.
Yeah, because otherwise I was like, how do you sign over the?
I signed first, and I was hoping not to have to sign it, but I did get called back because I used to do I'm also licensed in PA. So that you can do electronic. So I have electronic seal and an electronic signature. So I tried to print the signature and then do it over, and it got rejected somewhere one time because they were like, that's not an original, that's a printed, type thing. So I was like, okay.
See, they probably used AI for that or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
They have this thing with the city of San Diego. Oh my gosh, right? It's like that building department, but whatever, you upload your drawings and then it goes through, and now it has this thing that will check just to make sure that it can see all of the pages. And then if there's like two, like, and I'm still hand drafting stuff, right? So mine's just written on there. But my structural engineer even has it in CAD, and he had 2 of the same sheet, which immediately it called it. So then you have to go through the whole thing again. And then when you call back, you have to go through the whole, the whole verification process and like go through every single one. And I'm like, yeah.
Technology would help those things. Yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they catch those
Yeah.
things like I know like in Philadelphia, like everything you can do online now, which is great because you don't have to go
I
down
think it
down to
is
City Hall.
technology that is helping them
Yeah.
recognize that it's, yeah, I mean, that's the
Yeah.
thing. It's just not smart enough to know that, like, yeah,
Right.
that is that. Yeah, that
Yeah.
is that symbol or whatever. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
but one of the things they've done now that everything's electronic is now they make you put like a box for their stamps. And like there's other things you have to
Exactly. Yeah.
change your
I know
drawings. So now
exactly
it's
where to
like
look. Yeah.
yeah. So it's just like,
Yeah.
oh,
That you have to have like, yeah.
and
Yeah.
there's so much information that it's like you can't, it's hard, it's almost impossible to stay on top of it. It's like basically you just have to have a situation where they reject it, and then your client's like, well, why
Learn
didn't
what
you
you
know
did
that?
wrong.
And I'm like, well, I know it now.
Yeah.
You know?
This is how I
What's
learned.
weird is that they literally, some of these places, they'll put the stamp, that says that it's approved. They right in the center of the plan, right in the center of the
Oh,
plan. And I'm like, what? Do you have that too? And I'm
no,
like, why
I
are you
don't,
putting it
but
in the center of the plan? Like you can't see anything,
yeah.
I've seen it
because it's
more
in the
for like
center of the plan.
entitlement type stuff, but
Yeah,
if you're building from it, that's
exactly.
not ideal.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, you're gonna have to have them use like some other, there has to be a construction set because otherwise, like you can't even see it because it's
Yeah.
right in the center.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, no,
bizarre.
I do remember years ago, like it wouldn't be in the center, but it was like if you had to go to different, like the water department and the gas company and get all the different they would be like all over, like anywhere they found a little clear spot, they'd put
So
their
like,
stamp on.
yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
you're just like, oh, this is a mess.
yeah,
But
yeah. You got stamp transfer, and then they're all like, it's like
yeah,
we have an archaic business, man,
Yes.
filled with no trust of us who are actually the people that are taking responsibility for the project.
Right.
Yeah.
yeah. No, you gotta, yeah, you always gotta love those comments they get back, and they're just like, oh, I literally had a inspector tell my client it was something that was like not to code. Like I don't know I forget what they did, they did it in the field or something. And they're like, oh, well, if your architect just writes a letter and says, like, let's say, the drawing said
Yes.
2x12s,
Yeah.
right, for floor framing. And for whatever reason, he did 2x8s. Well, if your architect just writes a letter, it's fine. And I'm like, well, first off, he didn't even build it to what I specified it as.
Yeah.
And two,
Yeah.
no, I'm not doing
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. They're like, yeah, they've got some really bizarre things there. Okay, so who do you think is gonna win? Obviously, but what are the points? What are the points or the point spread? If you want to do the points or the point spread. Becca first.
Oh,
I was
okay. I'm
prepared for
gonna
this one.
say, let me think. I'm gonna say 35-28 Chiefs.
Okay.
So
That's
I'm going
that's
to
all
say,
touchdowns,
yeah.
apparently.
Well, I'm gonna say both teams are gonna score 5 times, but it's gonna be 31-23 Eagles. So 2 more touchdowns
30,
for the Eagles.
30, 31, 23, you said?
Yes.
31, 23 Eagles.
It's the
Okay.
bend and break defense will bend a little bit, but they won't break as much as the Chiefs defense will.
And what's your Super Bowl food, Super Bowl drink?
Oh, so all appetizers all the way. So that's what we're having a party at my parents' house. And
Uh-huh.
I think we've got a good 8 appetizers that are being prepared. And then but I'll be saving room for the sweets because I've got a big sweet tooth. So cookies and brownies. I'm just gonna be nervously eating. And drink, I might do a Moscow Mule
Okay.
and then top it off with some Diet Coke just to keep
Okay.
me going, keep the energy up. Yeah.
For for this year, I will
Huh?
be drinking a glass of water, and that is it.
Oh, okay.
Since my team is in it, like I'll probably eat beforehand.
So you're not feeling
Yeah.
sick.
What's that?
You're not feeling sick during the
Yeah,
game?
I will be like this the whole time. Like I will be but and then I will have I don't know what beer yet, but there will be some beers in the fridge for afterwards.
Yes.
Okay. What kind
For
of beer? What kind of beer do you like?
well I do I have a probably will be a local brewery because I've had brewery clients. So I probably
Yeah.
will take a
Nice.
I'll probably take a trip out tomorrow and grab something that I feel like maybe a stout if we want to think of a type for this
Okay.
time of year.
Yeah.
Okay.
But typically I would say like if it was if the Eagles weren't in it, I'd probably the pizza, the wings, the kind of your typical fare for
Yeah.
it. I'm getting to the point now where I don't really go out much anymore for parties and whatnot. So it's just me, the families, and I'm probably even I have two sons, but I mean, my one, he's 7.
Mhm.
Huh.
He's kind of asking. I mean, he wore a Jalen Hurts jersey to school today, so he's kind of starting to get into it. He keeps bugging me to actually go to an Eagles game. I'm like, you're not old enough to go to an Eagles game yet,
Oh
bud.
yeah.
No, you're not. I'm not.
That's
I've been
same
to a
here.
number. I've been to ones at the old vet. And I've seen some things. I've even gone to, well, you being a Chiefs fan, I don't know if you'd appreciate this or not, but I've gone to a game in Oakland. I saw the Raiders play the Broncos one time
Oh
on a
yeah.
Monday night game. And I will say that was worse than the vet in Philadelphia
Really.
for things I've seen. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Raiders, they were. I mean, I was laughing because I was one of the people from Arca Speak, right? He was a big Raiders fan, Neil Pan, and I was like, "Are you a face painter? Are you a face painter?"
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we were actually sitting above what is it called, the black hole, where all the people who dress up for the Raiders were like
Yeah.
there's a section in the
Pretty
one of the end
intense.
zones. Yeah, we were above that, and yeah. And when I say
Yeah.
that things were worse, it's bathroom things you see in the bathroom were
Oh
way worse than
gosh.
I've ever seen at the vet.
That's rough.
And
Yeah.
I've had a friend of mine at the vet actually spit on a Super Bowl winning coach when he was a player.
Oh my gosh.
One
I
time
don't
by
know.
accident. I will.
There was only one time, right? Because I don't even consider Chargers a team growing up in Pittsburgh. But anyway, I mean, and they're not even in town anymore. There's still people that like head up. They head up to LA to like watch these games, and I'm like, no, I never. But
Mhm.
but my kid's dad, he got tickets from work one time, and he took one of our kids, and he was like so young, and they had to leave like halfway through because it was just so loud. It
Yeah.
was just
Mm,
so loud for him,
Yeah.
and I was just like, oh my gosh, it's like you should have taken somebody that was old enough to appreciate it.
Right. Not be
yeah, yeah.
terrified.
Yeah, but instead he like wanted to know. It's like, oh yeah, and I doubt that kid. I mean, they do like going to the baseball game. We'll go see the Padres and stuff, and I always say that I like it because there's other things to do there besides watch baseball. But
Yeah.
it's a sport.
The only time,
Yeah.
it's funny. It's funny. The only time I've seen fights, I mean, because look, Philadelphia fans have a reputation,
Mhm.
Oh,
which
okay.
I can argue every fans, all fans have that reputation. It's
Oh
not just
yeah,
Philadelphia.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But uh, 2 times I've seen fights at games have been Phillies baseball games.
Really?
Yes. And one was the first time I took my oldest son when he was 4 years old to his first baseball game. By the second inning, it was a Sunday afternoon game. I went with my church. We did a group thing in the church, but of course, it being a church group, we're kind of up top.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Second
Up in
inning,
peanut heaven.
yeah,
Yeah,
there was second
yeah.
inning. There was these, there. I think the Phillies were playing the Cardinals, I believe, and there was a couple Cardinals fans, a couple Phillies fans, and they were all kind of in that like late teens, early
Mhm.
20s age group, and I'm just like, I moved everybody over, and then yeah, second inning, a fight breaks out, and
Oh
I'm like,
no.
get my son out of here, you know. So
Ah, okay, well, I'm gonna let's wrap it up. And anything else that you'd like to say about architecture or sports? I think this was great. I think this is gonna be great. Ask your
Yeah.
ask your people if you can do the if they want to sponsor for their beer for the brewery.
oh yeah, I can talk. Yeah, if I go in tomorrow, I can see, or I actually
And then
drive by
Becca,
the
can
one
you
on my way
Yeah.
home from here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Becca, send us your Moscow Mule recipe so that I can put it in.
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
make them? How do you make them?
Oh, I choose them because they're very easy. It's like three ingredients: ginger beer, vodka, and some lime, and you're good to go. But
Okay,
there's some
okay.
fancy ones out there with extra stuff. I could maybe I'll find one that's red for this
Do you
weekend.
put it in a do you put it in
Oh, yeah,
a copper one? Yeah.
of course.
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta look fancy while you're drinking them. Looks, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you.
Hmm.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. And go Birds.
Go Chiefs.